Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Power Hour starring me, Ron Harris, and of course all the way from the UK, Giles Tiger Thomas. Today we're going to be talking about the man of the hour, the Power Hour, Chinedu Andrew Obeka. You know him as Andrew Jacked. Man, Giles, we saw him win the Texas Pro again 3 times in a row, and wow, you were telling, because you just saw him a few weeks before that in Amsterdam. And you had a sneak preview of what the world was about to see, the new and improved Andrew Jacked. When you saw this footage, because you just saw him in the gym working out, and he's crazy impressive. But what do you think? What were your first impressions when you saw this new version of him competing in Texas?
I was so happy, mate, because I mean, obviously, people like yourself, and you, we're very. We've got a good idea of where people are at and whether, and it's like I was arguing on Instagram and people, I was like, no, he's in condition, and how can you tell? You only saw him in the gym, you only saw him in the vest, but when you see with someone with your own eyes, whether if he's 4 weeks out and the skin's looking paper thin on the shoulders and the arms, that he's not going to have fat glutes and no separation in his legs, and if he's looking like that 4 weeks out, I mean, my God, we're experienced enough to know. Because the thing is, I interviewed him last year for Global, and he said, like, really, since turning pro at the Arnold Columbus, he hadn't had a proper off season. So, and then when he did the 2 Olympias, he kind of, like the first Olympia, he kind of got sick because I think he was just on prep that long. And these guys need to break, they need to reset, and they need to be able to have a proper off season to really, really grow. Because back-to-back preps, you're not really gonna. There's a lucky few, some of them, but most of them, they don't just burn out, but they don't certainly make any gains. And then sometimes the body doesn't play ball. So when I saw him in the gym, in fact, I was actually disappointed. It's like when you see Sean Clarida, when you look at the videos and the photos, you actually feel a bit disappointed. Like, oh, that's not reflecting like what I saw. Because when I saw him in the gym, all I can remember was because they were training chest, him, William Bonac, and Ulysses. And mate, his chest was, and I was like, straight away, I could clearly see that he'd made serious gains. And I thought, I don't think he's one of those guys that is going to just disappear in the last 4 weeks of prep. So when he came, and even with that all being said, I was still unbelievably shocked at how much he'd improved. Because, sometimes you see guys, okay, they visibly look bigger, but the waist is bigger. To me, he looked more conditioned. He looked, because there was like more, like in his side chest, you could see more stripiness in his shoulders. And I just, because the more developed the muscle, the more it develops, and there's more going on. And, but he, there was no like sort of, look at him there. Look at the separation between the shoulders and the arms. He's just relaxed and everything is sharp. It's quality, and I love, it's lovely when bodybuilders that good can make kind of such leaps, but they retain their aesthetics, they retain their their lines, the separation, the quality, the conditioning. So I was losing my shit when I was messaging you, I was messaging AJ, we were ringing each other, going, I remember I was walking around the back garden and I was like, oh my God, I just can't believe what he's done. He's managed to, that's kind of the holy grail of bodybuilding, to be able to put on whatever he put on. I don't really care what it was. They said he was 299 at the weigh-in, and apparently for prejudging he was 292, and then he said by the time the finals came around, he said he was about 288. But who gives a shit? But at the end of the day, he was improved. I thought his rear lat spread was improved. I think his only bad pose is his side chest, but that was improved. There was a little bit more kind of density and thickness going on. He retained the small waist. God, he's so wide as well. There was no loss of, stripiness in the delts, which is sadly something we see a lot now where, they're obviously just putting all their gear and whatever into their shoulders and they lose all the detail. So it was so nice to see, that he hadn't spoilt the picture. Like when you compare, like, say, Flex Wheel in 93 to 98, that there was a lot of kind of crap in there, which was kind of ruining all the separation and the fine details that kind of makes their physique special. So, I will say, I think he peaked at prejudging though. I think the finals, because he went from 292 to 288, he kind of lost his pop and forms, but it didn't matter because he was so far out in front at the pre-gen. He probably thought, well, I don't really need to push the food and the rest and everything for the night show. So he kind of just came in, you could see he was very relaxed with his posing routine because he just knew he had it in the bag. But the pre-judging version of Andrew, I think he's top 3 Olympia this year. I think third is going to be, I think it's going to come down between him and Samson, maybe a little bit of a threat from Nick Walker. But I could honestly see Andrew Jack taking third at the Olympia this year. I think he's ready to move up now, 8th, 5th, and 3rd. But mate, honestly, this has been one of the highlights of the year, seeing him. Because like I said, I messaged him and I said, mate, you really put that off season to good use. I said, I'm glad to see it. I'm happy for you, and I'm excited to see what you're going to bring for the Olympia. But it wasn't actually the only thing me and him talked about. We can talk about that in a minute if you want.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So the funniest post I saw was on my Instagram after that. Somebody said, I think he's got a good chance of making top 6 this year in the Olympia. They had no idea that he had already been as high as 5th last year.
8th and 5th. I mean, it's just incredible. Three pro wins. All UK's won. I mean, the guy's amazing, mate. I mean, he just came from, and he's strong as fuck as well. So I just, I like getting this kind of stuff. As you can tell, you can hear my voice. It gets me really excited about bodybuilding, and it's getting me really excited for the Olympia because I don't know whether I kind of expect. We all expect these guys to maybe improve, but to see him looking like that makes it really, really, really gets me really amped up for the Olympia, mate.
A lot of Andrew Jack fans, and he has a ton of fans, rightfully so. They think he could win the Olympia this year. A lot of them think that. So what I wanted to do with you is pull up some comparisons of every guy he's got to get through to get to the Olympia. So let's start with former Olympia champ, Brandon Curry, who's been 4th place, never lower than 4th since he won.
True.
So let's take a look here.
First, second, 4th, 4th.
So here we go. This is a side-by-side. Obviously, it's going to go kind of quick, but I like Andrew's physique. It's this thing about the tall guys. It takes them so much longer to fill out with the long limbs, but when they do,
Ron, that's the only pose I don't like on Andrew is his side chest. I think that's his weakest pose because I was speaking to AJ the other day, and he said the side shots on Andrew, and and I said no. I said yes. I said his side chest needs work, but his side tricep I think is absolutely magnificent. Do you like the way that he hits it with the leg out and the abs?
I do. I call that the classic physique variation.
Yeah.
I prefer that to the standard side tricep. But I noticed in the judging, he hits it the standard way because I think that's what they sort of demand. I don't think they want him hitting it the other way.
I saw improvements in his back shots as well. I think mostly in the rear lat spread, but if you look at the rear double bicep compared to how he looked last year, you can see serious improvements there as well. But because those back shots, I mean, he's got a great back. Because the back shots look super special now.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot with every single one of these guys. Tell me if this Andrew Jack beats this version of Brandon Curry that we're looking at.
Yeah, but that's not the best version of Brandon. That's last year, Brandon, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you had that food poisoning thing, so I don't know whether. Yeah, I would. Well, I'm probably going to go with Andrew on every single pose because to me, it's weird. It's difficult to see Brandon when he's kind of not at his best because I really rate Brandon. I love Brandon's physique. But I mean, here, the Texas version of Andrew against the 23 version, Olympia version of Brandon, I think he beats him in every single pose purely because this is not Brandon, anywhere near his best. I mean, he looks watery as hell there from the back and he looks kind of flat. So this is maybe if you'd have brought up, say, 2020 or 21, maybe version of Brandon, then maybe they'd be a bit closer, But Andrew smokes him in every pose here.
I don't want to make this about Brandon, but do you see Brandon staying at 4th? Do you see him possibly moving up?
I'm going to get shit for this. I don't know because I'm not. I'm going to think carefully about how I need to say this, but I love Brandon. I rate him, but he's one of these guys that responds very fast as soon as he gets out there, but. The latest video I saw, I'm not seeing any magic happening. But then again, Brandon's one of these guys that can change in a couple of days.
Right.
So I just hope, and now he's not working with Abdullah, stuff like that kind of raises like alarm bells in my head. I'd love to see Brandon bring something better than he brought last year because in the lead up, I mean, I was seeing some of the pictures and videos, and I thought Brandon was he was basically setting up to be like perhaps one of his best ever. And then obviously that thing happened when he ended up in hospital. So it's difficult to. So I just hope he comes in a lot better than this, because I think he was very, very lucky to get 4th place last year, given what he went through. I mean, I bet he was so glad that he managed to retain that 4th place spot. But I don't like with Bonac. I mean, Bonac proved to us that we haven't, this isn't the slide for Brandon. So I just hope he comes in looking, kind of like 2021 version of Brandon, because if we see that, then, he's definitely going to, I think he'll stay in the top 6. But if he comes in not even as good as last year or worse, then he's absolutely out the top 6. And I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that, because he's only 42. I mean, he's not really on the slide, because we thought that about Bonac, and then look what Bonac did this year by coming back, and the fire was back. But I kind of think Brandon could maybe be 6th. I think he's fighting for 6th with Hunter, Martin Fitzwater, and Rafael Brandao. My top 5 is pretty clear. But I don't think Brandon's going to be top 5 this year. I really, really don't, unless he really brings something that we're not expecting. Because I really like that 2020 version of Brandon. When he came with the shaved head and the really streamlined, he was really sharp, and his waist looked tiny. And I think I prefer that even to his 2019 Olympia look when he won.
Fair enough. All right, let's go to another guy he's got to get through. It's your favorite, probably your favorite bodybuilder of all time. We're talking about Nick Walker. I think I give Andrew the front double bicep here. Nick is a mountain of muscle, but that waist, boy, it's thick.
I'm trying as hard as I can to be objective about Nick because of my personal feelings towards it. So, but no, actually that sounds really unprofessional. I shouldn't say it like that. But I do rate Nick, but I think he's 5th this year. I think he's going to be 5th this year. I think he's really good. Like I said, not my kind of physique, but I do respect the fact that he holds a ton of muscle. He brings very, very good condition. He's fierce on stage. Front lat spread, well, it's Andrew all day because that's kind of his worst shot anyway. So,
yeah, I want to make sure to clarify a couple of these. The gentleman who put this together, and I'm sorry I'm not giving credit because I can't remember where I got this, but the edge, the edge detection where he eliminates the background. I think it cut off a little bit of his muscle on one of his.
Oh no, taking all the sweep off his quads.
For the next one, so the side chest, Andrew's worst pose. I still think he beats Nick in this pose.
Do you know what? I think that because I believe that Nick really, his shoulders really overpower his chest. And I just don't really like his side chest. I think his chest looks really small and unimpressive there. But I think even in Andrew's worst pose, do you know what? That's something else I noticed on Andrew. Like the front and the side delts. There's a bit more because he's got a bit more development, and he hasn't sight injected the shit out of his shoulders. I think. This is interesting. I
give Nick this one.
Well, that is Nick's best pose. So, but then again, Andrew. I mean, hang on. When was this? Is this the night? Is this the finals for Andrew?
This is Texas finals versus Nick 2023 Arnold, I believe.
I didn't like how Andrew looked at the finals. I felt like he kind of. Because he lost 4 pounds and he lost that pop and then obviously a lot of the conditioning because he wasn't as full and everything was pushing against the skin. But it's difficult because if you showed me prejudging Andrew, I'd probably have a better rap because it's like his glutes look soft there. But I would say real bicep. Yeah, I'd probably give that one to Nick. But Andrew looks very, very good in that shot, even if it's the finals ones we're looking at.
Another point here, they definitely cut some mass off of Nick there off the delt and the tricep. If you can see.
Oh, Nick looks good there, man.
Yeah, but like I said, there's more tricep that's not showing. I think the background eliminator took away some of his muscle on his delt and his tricep there.
That's a really nice shot of Nick, Like
yeah. I mean, from the people who have thicker waists, their side shots and their back shots are usually incredible.
Dorian,
well, Dorian, toward the end, his waist was thick. Do you think Andrew's condition was about 85%, 90% in Texas, or where it's going to be for the Olympia?
Yeah, I just I thought his condition was very good at the prejudging, but I think for the Olympia, I'd like to see his quads a little bit more drier and separated. He wasn't quite nailed it in the quads. The glutes look good. He's obviously added a bit more development to his hamstrings, because when you add more muscle, you can come in the same condition as you did the year before, but look sharper because there's more. Like when Samson improved his hamstrings last year, they look more dug out, basically because there was more muscle going on. So, but that one, I'll give that to Andrew all day.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that him and Chris Aceto intentionally held back. Why would you peak 100% for the Texas show with a much weaker lineup when the Olympia is 9 weeks after that?
Well, I thought at the end of the day, he could have phoned in that play. He could have sent in a WhatsApp picture and won that show. No disrespect to the guys, but you've got levels to this sport, Ron, and you've got a guy there who's a top 5 Olympia, probably likely going to be top 3 this year, against guys that really are kind of an even top 10 guys.
Yeah.
John Hutchison and Nathan Epler, they're not really top 10 Olympia guys if we went this year. Maybe they could scrape into the top 15, but there was a real disparity. The quality was good from second downwards, but then you had fricking Andrew, who was like looking the best he's ever looked in my eyes. But I would say, he looked. I wouldn't want to see him. I'd like to see him like a little bit, 2 or 3 weeks more prep, sharper than that for the Olympia, because otherwise it's going to cost him a few placings. But the Olympia is, that's kind of a big deal, between 3rd and 7th. Do you know what I mean? But wouldn't take a lot.
I'll go to the Gilco. It's not Gilco. It's another. I think it was Chris Nichols, but it's 4K footage, just to see if he looks any sharper in that. Because I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So
good point. See, this looks nice. Look at that. But look when he walks on, the shoulder width, the traps, and when he opens up like that, the way that you could see how much bigger his lats were. I love the striations in the chest when he does a front lat spread and his abs, and he's just. It's a real joy to see those kinds of physiques. And also, Ron, do you prefer the way he hits the frontal bicep now, or do you prefer the way he used to do it with the tilt?
Now, I like the straight-on version.
Do you?
I like the tilt for maybe his routine, but for the judging, I don't think he should have been hitting it like that. Also, physique, you can get away. You're supposed to do little tweaks and things like that, but bodybuilding, judging, you're supposed to hit the shots straight on. Standard.
Sorry, Ron. That's what you can see just how much bigger he is in that pose alone, that readable rear lat spread. Look at that, and even the lats, just the way they're hanging down there, that's just amazing.
Yeah, and like I said, people were saying this condition won't. I said he's not going to look like this at the Olympia. Trust me. Chris Aceto's been doing this a very long time. He's going to bring him in crazy condition. And then the other concern was, well, he's going to lose a bunch of size and fullness if he does that. I don't think so.
No. I just hope he comes in. All he needs to do for the Olympia really is bring in this level of fullness and just get the legs and the glutes just a tiny bit drier. That's all he has to do. Because don't forget, he's never even brought anything close to his best at both Olympias, and he's been 8th and 5th. So, everything there. Even when I saw him 4 weeks before this in Amsterdam, the shoulders, the arms, the chest, his skin was thin, he was full, everything round and bubbly and detailed. Nice separation and quality. But I think he looked exactly how he needed to look for Texas, even if the competition had been a little bit tougher. But just want to see the quads and the glutes and a little bit leaner, which he could, even with 2 weeks more prep, would bring him in absolutely perfect for that. So fingers crossed we actually see the best ever version of Andrew at the Olympia, because his physique now has gone to another level in terms of muscularity. He just needs to come in tiny little bit sharper. That is it. He's got 9 weeks from Texas.
Yeah.
So I think he's and I think actually he was a little bit too relaxed in his pose routine the night show, because I just think he just knew he had it in the bag.
Was that the easiest win you've ever seen in a pro show?
Yeah, I would struggle to think of one. You'd probably have to give me like a few hours or even a day to think of when we've seen an easier win than that. In fact, that's a good question, Ron. I'm going to really think about that. I'll see if I can even think of some as we're talking for this now.
Yeah. Well, a guy who's been 5th place in the Olympia, if he's qualifying at some other show leading into the Olympia, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion he's going to wipe the floor. He should, if he's at that level. All right, let's move on to
good show though. It was a good show, and the standard was good.
Oh,
The
yeah,
quality was
absolutely.
good.
And Freddie and Sheila put on an amazing event.
Brilliant.
I wish I'd been there. I've only been there once, and it was so much just a positive atmosphere. I love that Texas crowd.
I like to see that level of enthusiasm from the actual promoters, and I like to see them physically and visually. Like, he does a lot of videos. He's a good talker. He can do the DJing, so he's very confident. He's a very good speaker. Yeah. But when you see him, like his passion, like really, like sometimes a passion for a promoter can show through in the show itself, but you don't even have to see the promoter to really feel the love and the attention that's gone into these, like the Emilio type shows, Romania, and these kinds of, Portugal, all these kinds of shows. You don't even need to see the promoter. But when you see someone that really, really absolutely loves and thrives and is so excited to have the opportunity to be able to put on these shows, I get a real kick out of that. And I think if there's promoters out there that are putting on such good shows, then I think if they're confident enough to go on camera, I say, guys, do it, because it really, anything that puts a face to any sort of project, any sort of event, is it's a very good way to capture your audience and bring interest. Things like sponsors, spectators, people watching the live stream. I mean, the live stream, I think they had like 10 people rotating them. They had Buendia, and they had all these people, and Rough Diesel, and and it's and the thing is, then when you're watching it, you're hearing all these different voices, and it's fresh. And yeah, I just hats off to Freddie. He's a cool guy. Yep. Spoke to him a few times, and he's someone who's really. It's nice to see someone who's really enjoying this much what he's doing, and the fact that he's doing it the way he wants to do it. So he's been a real sort of asset to the Pro League by bringing this guy on board, and does the DJ at Olympia, and there's a guy who really loves what he does.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to the comparison that we really want to see on stage at Olympia. Samson Dauda, another tall guy, another guy from originally of Nigerian descent. This is somebody he's going to have to get past if he wants to get top 3. And wow, it's not going to be easy.
Oh, it's going to be a good one, isn't it? I think, I just, obviously, I think Derek and Hadi's going to be the top 2 this year. I really do, in any order. But I tell you what, I mean, that's basically the first thing I think, I certainly thought of when I saw the new improved Andrew at Texas. It's like, holy shit. Because remember I said in the last couple of years, I said, and I actually said to Samson as well, I said, Samson, if you can, when Samson kind of leveled up and he jumped up to 4th at the Arnold, and then, he got 6th at Olympia. I said, Samson, if you can just do enough to stay ahead of Andrew Jackson, you will continue to rise, because Andrew is coming up fast, and he's improving, and he's hungry. So even if you can just stay in front of him, you could potentially go all the way to the absolute top. And I mean the absolute top. We're talking Sandow winning. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Samson does have superior size. Andrew still needs to fill out a little bit if he wants to match him on size. Yeah. Samson's condition, it still leaves something to be desired. It's not where it needs to be. I think it's going to be a very, very tough decision for the judges when these two are side by side, especially if Samson comes in sharper than we've ever seen him.
Tell you what, though, I was talking to AJ about this 2 days ago, and I tell you what, when you see, because I saw Samson in the flesh in Prague last year. Yeah. He won it, and but you can see on stage, again, the condition needs to be better. The aesthetics are beautiful, blah, 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 et cetera. But when I saw him at the Arnold UK in the flesh at the finals, I think his condition was absolutely fucking fantastic. Honestly, in the flesh, because I was watching the live stream at home on the Friday, and I could see the shiny shoulders, the midsection looked like a little bit distended, and I thought, the condition again it's not gone up the level that we expected and felt like it needed to kind of be able to beat someone like a Hadi, which he's capable of doing. But tell you what, when I sat there, second row in the flesh on the night show, the stomach, the shoulders, the condition, it was all perfect, mate. I thought he looked absolutely fantastic, and they could have given it to him over Hadi because it's purely for the reason it's a completely different sort of physique, and it's hard to compare apples and oranges. It just might have come down to preference, but I wouldn't have just disagreed if actually he'd have won that one. And Hadi was bringing his absolute A game. But if we're going to come to Samson and Andrew, there's a lot of pluses and minuses for each physique. I mean, Andrew takes him on the midsection. That's definite.
Yeah.
Because Andrew's got one of the most. I mean, Andrew is like whatever he was on stage. Close to 300 pounds on stage with a men's physique waistline, mate, and it's tight, it's detailed. He's got deep, thick abs. He's got nice, even abs. There's no distension. I mean, it's just, I'm really excited to see Samson versus Andrew, because if both those guys bring their best, I think that's going to be an exciting contest in itself, just to see those two. And personally, I actually think Andrew has what it takes to beat Samson this year. But but like with Derek and Hadi, it's one of those ones that's going to go either way. So, but I see that as though those two competitions alone are the ones I'm probably one of the most excited for.
All right, now we're getting into the really crazy zone where we're going to look at him next to Hadi and Derek. But let's start with Hadi. So Hadi is obviously much shorter, much thicker. Those legs of his are. He's got the lower body. He destroys pretty much everybody, including Andrew. Aesthetics. I like the aesthetics of Andrew better.
Yeah.
Is it possible that Andrew could beat Hadi?
Absolutely. Yeah. Of course it is. Of course it is. I mean, really, it's like, I like the fact that you kind of got, like I said, these two competitions between the two kind of best 212, Hadi and Derek, similar height, kind of similar structure, but also quite different styles of physiques. It maybe comes down to preference of who you think should win. Like that last year, I thought Hadi was going to win it, but was I shocked that Hadi won it? Of course I wasn't, because it's, that Derek won it, but I wasn't, I mean, Derek took him in the back shots. But, it all comes down to what the judges' eyes are drawn to. And the thing is your eyes are drawn to Hadi because he just ticks the box of like density and muscularity and condition, and everything looks like it's been developed to the absolute maximum. Everything looks burst, striated, detailed. There's a lot of maturity, a lot of deep separation. He's impressive, and he's got a pretty good shape. I quite like Hadi's shape. And then you got someone like Andrew, who I really, really got the whole Andrew thing when I saw him at the Olympia in 22. And he's scanning across the lineup, and he wasn't even in condition because he had flu or COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was probably COVID. He didn't want to say.
Yeah, but you could see, like, I was talking to him, and he was like, you could see he was bunged up, and he looked kind of, he had his hoodie up, and we were chatting to him, weren't we?
Yeah.
And you could see he was struggling. He was really struggling. But I mean, when you see him in the lineup, like even when he's not in condition, his overall aesthetics and not in his size in terms of his frame, his shoulder width, his height. He's got those lovely like flex wheeler, tiny little joints and little wrists. Which to be honest, it's surprising actually how strong he is if he's got these tiny little wrists and joints, but he can still shift tons of weight. Normally, those kind of big sort of guys, have the kind of illusion of these big full round muscle bellies like he does. They usually actually, if you get up close, they've got kind of big thick waists and thick wrists and thick bones. But if you look at his ankles and his wrists and his, and everything looks, kind of, it's kind of a contradiction really with terms of, how strong he is. But I mean, could Samson and Andrew be 1 and 2 either way over Derek and Hadi? Absolutely, yes. But that's why I think it's going to be really interesting this year, because it's going to be really hard to judge these guys as well. I think it's just going to come down to, what your eyes are drawn to, because I think, Hadi's not got a bad shape. I don't think he's the most aesthetic bodybuilder, but I kind of think the top 2 is going to be Derek and Hadi, but I would love to see. Of course, I would love to see Samson and Andrew take the top 2. I mean, how exciting would that be?
Well, people have been saying for the past couple of years, once these tall guys fill out and figure out their conditioning and everything else, it's over for the short guys. Meaning Nick and Derek and Hadi. Even I tend to be, because I'm 5'7.5", I tend to sort of have a favoritism toward the shorter guys. But even I admit, when these taller guys get their act together, it's stunning. You can't take your eyes off them. I remember at Texas when Andrew walked out for that. It was just gee, nobody could take their eyes off him, and there was like
exactly that's what it is, Ron. With Andrew, like I sometimes think like, you can watch a show, you can look at pictures, we can do this where we compare people side to side, but sometimes you can't predict or even really discuss of who's better than who if they're both at their best until you see them in the flesh. I remember in again 2017 San Marino, you had Cedric McMillan at his best and you looking fantastic, and you had Hadi. He was still quite an unknown guy at that point. He'd done the 212 against Korea, in Flex Lewis and lost to that. Many people felt he should have won. But I tell you what, until you see these guys side to side, if you're looking at like he was in condition and Cedric was absolutely bang on, and literally I'm going, okay, I like Hadi. No, I like Cedric, and you keep flip flopping, and I think it comes down to the pure simple fact of, okay, then. Scan across the lineup. Who are you looking at most? Who's your eye drawn to? And that's basically, I think that's kind of what the judges do as well, because there's a lot of attributes to a physique. Size. Like Andrew now has kind of got with that added size, he's not just an aesthetic guy that's tall with a big frame that can hit some pretty shots. He's starting to fill out now, because remember he was very wide, but turn him to the side. And he was like there was not much density. Like he was kind of like a front-on body, but turned to the side and he kind of went away to nothing.
Two-dimensional.
Yeah, like kind of like a ruler. Like a ruler. Pull him to the side and it's kind of like, oh shit, But it's because you can be wide and you can have a big frame, but then you turn to the side and there's like no density. I'm trying to think of a bodybuilder that's like that actually. That's like really big. Tony Freeman always looked good from the side shots, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
But of the tall guys, it's hard for them to get real kind of like Branch Warren type. Ronnie was probably the only one that had that height and width and kind of didn't matter what angle you put him in, he just looked freaky from every single pose. But I just sorry, go on.
No, I'd say there's only been in all these years. This is the 60th anniversary of the Olympia. We've only had one Mr. Olympia ever who was 6 foot or taller, and that was Arnold. No one's ever been,
5'11". Yeah,
5'11".
I mean, I think in terms of marketability, because Andrew's like, I'm 6 foot, and I look up to Andrew when I'm around him. He's a tall dude. He's at least 6'2". I feel like he's kind of like Wesley, when I'm actually talking to him and I'm looking up like that, like I said, I'm 6 foot. I've been measured at 6'1" before, but like that, but it's just, I like the width. He was training in that gym in Amsterdam the other week, and you had Bonac there, who's like literally in contest condition, freaky and fully bursting. But I hate to, and James Hollinshead was with us. We have Wesley, all training with the vicinity, and all these other guys training in there. And everyone was only looking at Andrew. I swear to God that I looked at people's eyes in the direction of their eyes, and they're just going. They're like all these kids with their phones, like pointing, going, oh, like it was like when you see someone that tall. I think, like I said, Tony Freeman, Cedric McMillan were the kind of ones that really only ever had that kind of like quality, where when you get a bodybuilder that's a good bodybuilder, and they've got aesthetics and they've got height, there's just something about them. That's why, like, Franco Colombo was never going to beat Arnold. Never can beat Arnold. He would never, even if he brought condition and Arnold didn't one show, like, your eyes are never going to go off someone like Arnold. So, and I think that's the same case here. So, I kind of have Andrew. I think he could take third this year at the Olympia, with the top two being Derek and Hadi. But you know what? Who knows what could happen?
Well, with that in mind, let's look at one last comparison. Why not see how he looks next to Derek? Derek. Reigning Mr. Olympia. Let's take a look.
Wow.
Derek's just so dense and thick.
It's good, isn't he? It's good, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't see Andrew in a position to beat him yet.
I don't know. I just I think the top four, any of those four guys could win it. I don't think Nick's got it. I think Nick's going to be fifth this year. And then, like I said, sixth will be between Raphael, Brandon, Bonac, and who else was it? Hunter. Yeah. But the top four for me, any of those four guys, I wouldn't be shocked if any of those four guys won it this year. I really don't. The thing is with Derek, though, he's got that deadly that rearable bicep. And in fact, it's rear lat spread. I can't fault that. I don't think I don't think anyone can really even match him on the rear double bicep and the rear lat spread. But then we said the same about Ronnie Coleman, and then look what Jay Cutler did in 2005 when he came back. Like, I never thought that Jay Cutler would ever be able to match Ronnie on those back shots, but in 2005 he did it.
You know?
Yeah,
I mean, Derek beats people from the back with ease. Relative ease.
How can you beat perfection?
Yeah. So
because, like, you know, you look at, like, say Phil Heath or Flex Lewis and that rear double bicep. How can you beat that unless you brought someone out like a Ronnie that's like 60 pounds heavier and has the same sort of level of condition and separation and kind of and proportions? Because that's the only way you're going to beat someone like that. So I don't think Derek's actually beatable in the rear lat spread and the rear double bicep, because top to toe, there's nothing he could improve on because he's just so far ahead of the game. Yeah. You know, Hadi lost those poses last year because he wasn't as crisp and separated in those two back shots. That's why that's one of the reasons, the small reasons I think they gave it to Derek, because Hadi left the door open. And then, but the thing is, at the Arnold and the Arnold UK this year, Hadi really sharpened up the back shots. And then when I saw him hit those shots, I just thought, okay, now I'm really, really excited because I think he's in a real contention to get his title back if it's come October.
All right, now it's time for a scoop. Breaking news story here.
Come on.
We all know that Giles has done these Olympia All-Star Tours, the most recent one being with Ronnie Coleman. Did a bang-up job, sold out crowds all over the place. And would you care to tell us who your next tour is going to be with? We'll hint on screen.
Andrew Jack. It was confirmed this morning. So, so excited. I'm so excited because, I mean, I literally, I spoke to him briefly a couple of times, and, you know, and he's, because I think I like about Andrew, like I've said many times, the good thing about these tours is that I had all those years doing global and, you know, and all these interviews at shows and stuff like that. So you kind of have enough to get a feel of someone, their professionalism, their how polite they are, how easy they are to work with, whether they show up on time, their reliability, and Andrew, like, I remember I interviewed him last year. I think he was in LA at the time, I think before he went back to Dubai. And he just gave such a good interview. And I met him. I saw him in Amsterdam a few weeks ago, and he was training. Went, hey, Giles. He says, yeah, how's it going, bro? And I said, no, I'm not going to bother you. I said, I'm training and you're training. I said, you've got a show. I said, let's talk afterwards. Plus, I was kind of training and I was making sure I was checking in on Ronnie training with Wesley.
Wow.
But because I'm kind of multitasking, and I'm going over getting the odd little bit of video because I don't have phones on gym floor, but this day I had to.
Right.
And obviously I'm constantly thinking about who I can do tours with, because I'm doing another tour with Ronnie, which is probably going to turn into another monster of a tour. It's looking like 5-6 countries again. Wow. I was trying to keep it to 3 or 4, but I've barely put the feelers out. So anyway, I just think, well, if it's Olympia All-Star Tours, I've got to reach out to other people. I can't just go in for the easy sell Ronnie, who's willing to do like 10 tours a year, I swear. Wow. If he's available, he likes to tour, he likes to make money, he likes to, and he's good for his business, good for his brand. It's traveling and fun and meeting all the fans. It's just an amazingly positive experience. But then I did Wesley, we've done Ashley Coltwasser, done Brandon Curry, so I'm trying to reach out to all the different demographics that, at the same time, I've also got to be able to they've got to be popular enough to be able to get the bookings and, make sure that people turn up, otherwise it's a disaster. So it's always a fine line. It's more difficult than you think to try and pick the right people at the right time on the right type of tour. So basically, I've spoke to Andrew a few times back and forth, and he always gets back to you. He's such a cool guy, such a polite guy. And I said, look, what do you want to do? I said, the option is we could do a single country tour, say six back-to-back in the UK. I said, if you want to do multiple countries, I can look into that. I could maybe look at adding Ireland, because it's not too far. Or we could do countries in Europe, because obviously I've took Ronnie to like 5, 6, 7, Slovakia and Hungary and, all these other countries. So I've got relationships built. I'm off to Austria next weekend doing live streams. So I'm trying to because the live stream gets me out to these other countries and connects me with the Pro League promoters and the NPC promoters. And then obviously I speak to them about the tours, and they're like, oh yeah, keep us in mind. And then when 1 or 2 goes really, really well, or, really well, like the Hungary one where the bloody 470 seat theatres, that kind of gets the attention, because obviously it goes on Olympia Instagram and everywhere else. So anyway, this morning he emailed me back and he said, "Yes, sir." Yes, sir. He said, "I'm really excited." He said, "Giles," he said, "I tell you what," he said, "let's start off." The words were "start off," as in I'm happy to do more tours. He said, "Let's start off with the UK one." So we're gonna. I've already got half the booking sorted. I've barely put the feelers out, so I've got so it's gonna because I did the 8-day one with Wesley, and that was 8 days on the trot. Because if I went back and did the Wesley one again, I'd probably have a day break halfway through. Just so, like, because one day we went to London and they wanted to see Tower Bridge and the Buckingham Palace, and and then we had to rush to get to that, and it's stressful to get to the seminar. I think next time, if I do an eight days, I'm going to have a day break, or even a day and a half, to just sort of decompress and kind of get our breath back. Because, like, back to back, I think 6 back to back is fine, but I think 8 is too many. So he said, yeah, let's do a 6-day UK one. We're starting to add merchandising as well, proper merchandising. So because we did that as a trial with the Ronnie in Scotland, with the guy that was hosting us there from Muscle Labs gym in Scotland, Glasgow, and it worked really, really well. Everyone was loving it, like shakers and posters and these bloody weight training belts with Ronnie's name on, and these nice pictures with holograms on, these like Olympia replica medals that Ronnie was signing. So we're going to roll that out for Andrew as well. I spoke to the guy today, and he says so basically all this Andrew Jack merchandise, which is going to sell like crazy, because it did in the one in Scotland. I mean, there were some people like everything was stuffed under their arms, a t-shirt, a shaker, a belt, so people were really spending the money. So it's a nice way to add to their fee, because at the end of the day, I want to pay them as much as I can possibly pay them, because, it's, they do appreciate the value of, reaching out there and, and it being sort of associated with Olympia, and, it kind of, even though it doesn't affect the judging, it kind of does earn brownie points, because if they're going out there and they're representing the sport in a positive light, and there's, and they're traveling and they're giving accessibility to the fans, it's like, it's only a positive thing, isn't it? So, Andrew kind of gets it, and he's really up for it. So I've just, so it's moving quick, because like literally only this morning I was sat on the toilet and I checked my email, and it was like, he said, "Yes, sir," and I was like, "Oh, nice. Yes." Wow. So and it's going to be, and we've also got tours as well with Ronnie. So I mean, like October, November are going to be crazy months for me. So September's going to be all the gearing up for it, and I think I've got Sweden, I've got Austria next weekend, but apart from that, September is going to be blocked off for making sure that this tour is an absolute smash success. And once it's done, I'm happy to do, if I can get the bookings, like got the countries interested, I'll get more. I was there. That's where I was in the gym that night. But so I'm going to and I'm going to try and get him as soon as I can after the Olympia, because if I could get him, like, say 2 days after the Olympia and he's flying into the UK, I might try and get like a guest posing at the Hungary show or something like that, and then we end it there. I'm so excited for this one, because I think like people like Ronnie taught again, really. I'm like, yeah, but he's in demand. But at the same time, I can't really call it. I'll just have to call it the Ronnie tours. Do you know what I mean? Like the Yeah Buddy tours, because I'll have to take the Olympia name off it, because otherwise it's not fair. But at the same time, so anyway, basically the fact that Andrew has said yes, so that means I've done a classic guy, I've done a current open guy that's on the rise, and then you got the legends, and then I'm constantly looking at, we're looking to do another one with Ashley Coltwasser as well, because she's heading towards her 50th win, pro win. So because at the end of that, I want to try, I'd love to do one with Sean Clarida, the 212. What other categories are there? The women, obviously Lauren takes care of those, and I kind of back her up with that. But in the day, I'm happy to go anywhere in the world with these people, and like I said, I'm always trying to increase my network and my sort of database of promoters and reputable pro league promoters, that the best ones that really are keen to do this. Like, we had a fantastic tour on that Ronnie tour. But you saw like Hungary. I hate to sort of single out one of the countries, but you saw the level of the lengths they went to make sure, like 10 security with Ronnie Coleman staff T-shirts and the Ronnie bus with all the pictures of Ronnie on. There's doing a good job, and then there's going above and beyond, and then there's going to another level, So like I said, I'm just completely hooked on these tours, mate. I mean, but the thing is, I actually met with my NLP. I've just started with a new NLP coach because there's a lot of things coming off at the moment that I need to be at my best for, because if I'm not working efficiently and not procrastinating, and I'm getting up at 6, 7 in the morning instead of 8:30, and I'm just fanning around for the first couple of hours of the day. If I'm getting up and I'm just working efficiently to a level that means I can do all these different things and they can be successful and not fall down. Then
hold on, you better explain. You just said NLP, and a lot of people are like, huh?
What's sorry. It's neuro-linguistic program. It's kind of like business coaching, life coaching. I had it in 2018 when I started Global, and I knew things, because that kind of exploded Global, didn't it? Everyone was talking about the industry. We were getting the big guests, and it was a lot of eyes were on us. And the studio-based podcast with Ages, the co-host, and the format we did it in, like that got a lot of people talking, and it kind of our standing in the industry kind of was rising very fast, regardless of the fact I'd been around for decades anyway. And I knew opportunities were either going to come by my creation or from other people, and which they did. The Ronnie Coleman Nothing But a Podcast. The Olympia wanted us to do a Olympia countdown show. The tours, and then the Olympia jumping on board, wanting their name to be associated with it. It's like things were happening. And if I hadn't have been, working at an optimum kind of efficiency, then, a lot of these things probably either wouldn't have gone ahead, or I wouldn't have had the kind of I wouldn't be given off the vibe that I was capable of leveling up, which I needed to do. And I kind of feel like I'm in that same position that I was at the end of 2018, because 2019 was an incredibly successful year for me. All areas of my life, were sort of taking off, and I kind of feel like I'm back there again, because there's other things coming off, as which we spoke about privately, because this year's been good. I've done the 2 tours of Ronnie. I've done the Wesley tour, all the live streaming, and, but I want to keep it going. I want to maximize the opportunities and maximize what I'm doing. And if I'm not working and my mindset is not 100% switched on, it's like getting ready for a show and it's 0% or 100%. You either do it all in or you don't do it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, and you kind of need to be all in. And that's how I feel about everything that's coming off now. I've done 3 very successful, very, very, very good tours this year, but I need them to grow. I need them to be more lucrative. I want to expand to other countries. I want to be able to do other projects and not be overwhelmed or have another heart attack, So I need to be working. So neuro-linguistic program, it's like a mind coach. Like Urs talked about having a sports coach, and being able to handle success and being able to also stay grounded, but also get that life-work balance, because I think that was something that before the Irish incident was where I was, where I couldn't switch off. I'd be working to 10 o'clock every night. And the thing is, because I loved what I do so much, you don't mind, and you can't, but you've got to get that work-life balance right. So he's kind of helping me, making sure I get the most out of everything I'm doing, because the thing is, I've done a lot of things, but I want to take it to another level now. So, I'd love to be doing a tour every single 2 months, the thing is, and also another thing is with the tour, the Wesley tour and the last Ronnie tour, it's like it happened twice now where I'm on such a high on the tour, then I come back and then a few days later, it's like, I'm distraught. Mentally, it's really, really quite distressing, because it's highs and lows, and I need to basically get that a little bit more balanced out. I want to be able to switch off properly when I need to, and not my foot tapping and I'm thinking about a million different things, because that's a good way to burn yourself out. So the life coach, the linguistic programming, he's going to help me kind of, also someone to be accountable to,
Yeah.
So I make sure I get the most out of it, that I succeed as much as I can, because some people don't realize, apart from Lauren helping me in the background, these tours, 6-country tours, with one of the, say Ronnie Coleman, one of the biggest names in the industry, you even transcend bodybuilding, because take him to an airport, then you'll see. It's that's quite taxing, I had those 3 kind of not panic attacks, because I've had a proper panic attack and this wasn't it, but waking up in the middle of the night, stressing that you can't do something, I don't need that. I am capable of doing these things. They are, they shouldn't be that distressing because, you know, I've done it before. It's not my first rodeo, but I want to make sure that I kind of, and also I enjoy it. And I don't allow these things to kind of to stress me out. So basically I'm just doing that. It's like almost like a business coach. And I want to make sure that I can keep scaling for every tour that goes ahead. I mean, I'll be honest, there's probably 2 that don't. I mean, I've got a lot of graphics of tours that never happen because you can't reach a deal and stuff. And sometimes they hit me really hard. I take it very personally, and I shouldn't, because it's just sometimes you just can't reach a deal, you know? Yeah. So basically just helping me work to my fullest ability, because this is kind of, these things can be so enjoyable, but they can also take a lot from you as well. So I want to make sure that I'm as resilient as possible, and as capable as possible of, you know, especially when you're dealing with these big names. You know, at the end of the day, I only have to do one slip up and the Olympia takes that name away. Do you know what I mean? So there's that pressure as well, you know. And at the end of the day, you know, you're bringing these superstars over. You want to make sure that, I mean, you know, touch wood, I've had no major issues yet, but I want to make sure that they're as successful as possible and I can enjoy and get the most out of them. Basically, that is it.
Fair enough. All right, I think that does it for this episode of Power Hour. Hope you've enjoyed how we compared Andrew Jack to the guys he's going to have to get past if, as a lot of you Andrew Jack fans hope, he becomes the next Mr. Olympia. Yes.
Ron, where do you think he's going to place this year? Be honest.
Where do I think? Third.
Yeah,
third.
I think third.
I'm in third. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously him and Samson, it could go either way. I mean, I just think with Samson, he just really needs to stay ahead of someone like Andrew, because Andrew's nipping at his heels, man. It's probably how Derek feels about Hadi and Hadi feels about Derek. You know, it's yeah, especially with them. And also, I mean, obviously, like someone like a Samson's thinking about Derek and Hadi and who he's got to get past. But I bet he's thinking about Andrew a lot, especially after he watched the Texas, because thinking, shit, this guy's improved, you know, and it probably going through his head about maybe comparing poses like you've done on here, thinking, okay, can I beat him? Is he going to beat me? Or, you know, it's just because, like, you know, when you get to this level, the closeness of, you know, like you could, so like Hadi and Derek last year could have gone either way. You know, this year you could both get Andrew and Samson at their best. And you could have half the people saying, no, I've got Andrew in third, and other people saying, no, I've got Samson beating Andrew, and they wouldn't be wrong. So it's exciting this year. It's this year's Olympia, mate. It's like Keon and Sean Claridi, you know. It's like those two. That's a flip of a coin. So it's kind of another reason why I think the 60th Olympia is going to be bloody exciting, mate.
Yeah, I mean, some of the older guys like me, we're complaining that, well, the Olympia isn't exciting as it used to be, and, you know, blah, blah, 90s this and 90s that. But I think we're seeing a very exciting era. We got an amazing area of new talent that stepped up over the past few years, guys that have leveled up and improved. And yeah, I would not want to be a judge at this year's Olympia. I would lose my mind, especially if everybody brings 100% condition and fullness and all that. I would just throw my pencil and papers up in the air. That's what I would do.
Who do you think is going to be the dark horse for the Olympia this year? Like, I think last year, maybe, if we said dark horse, do you think Tonio maybe jumping into 8th? Do you think that qualifies as a dark horse, maybe?
Wasn't he already 10th before?
No, yeah. He was 10th. Was he 10th?
I
mean,
mean,
so
if he could jump up higher than that, I don't see it yet until he gets a little more size on him. But
what if Rubiel makes it to the Olympia?
Rubiel, I mean,
say he wins. I mean, do you think he'll beat Hunter in Italy? I think he's capable of.
We have 2 more shows left. Hunter and Rubiel are both going to be trying to win the Italy show, and then UK is a week or 2 after that. Whoever doesn't win Italy is going to go on and win that, I would imagine, unless Beirut keeps going or something and stops one.
Beirut's not getting to the Olympia this year, mate.
No, okay. No, I didn't. No, he won't get to the Olympia. I'm saying.
I know, but it's a shame because, I mean, there's a guy that, because I think, like I said, my top 5 is pretty clear. I got Nick Walker, I think 5th. And then for 6th, you've really got Raphael, Martin Fitzwater, Brandon, and I think Bonac. I think and Hunter, obviously. So there's 5 guys that are fighting for that to make that top 6. Because there's a big difference between 7th and 6th. It's like being 4th and 3rd. You know, there's levels. Top 6, top 5, top 10. So if you get 11th, like Charles Griffin can say he's one of the top 10 bodybuilders in the world. If you're 11,
Yes.
It's like, yeah, I'm 11th in the world, but to say you're the top 10, there's something really, really quite cool about that, isn't there?
Well, there's only, when it comes to Olympia, as far as I'm concerned, there's only you can claim to be top 10, top 6, top 6, top 3, top 5, or Mr. Olympia, and that's it.
It's like if like you can say to people, do you know what? I'm psychic. How did you do at the Olympia this year? Well, I made top 13. Oh, hang on a minute. I reckon you placed 13th.
Yeah. Well, I've seen pro lineups where I would have been. I just count out how many guys show up. I said I would have been top 7 at the Detroit Pro. There's only 6 guys. So,
yeah. But yes, I think with Andrew now, it's going to be super exciting. But you know what? I think you need to say a prayer for me, because don't forget, I've got to feed the guy. Oh
boy. Jeez, I don't know how much he eats, but I imagine it's a lot.
I still have like nighttime wake up panic sweats of trying to feed Wesley on that tour.
And Wesley is not quite as large as Andrew Jack, so I can only imagine what
we're talking another 60 pounds on top. And I said and I made a promise, like I do to all of them. I said, look, Andrew, I will give you the same promise that I gave to Wesley. You will not miss a single workout, you will not miss a single meal or gram of protein. You have my word on that. I said, so send, because I look after other food. I said, send over your dietary requirements. If you've got, I said, send it over. So, like, we work between using prep meal companies. So every couple of days, if we go to the gym, we'll say, look, do you know any prep meal companies you work with, or do you know any good ones? And we make sure we get 2 days worth of food sent there. If we're back up in my area, Lauren will be up to like 1 a.m. cooking the food, because she's a good cook and she's very good at prep food, doing the air fryer and everything. Because at the end of the day, you want it to be nice and fresh as well. You don't want it to be like 3 days old. And and of course, when we're out, the host will usually take us out for a meal, and of course, then it's breakfast at the hotel and stuff like that. But I try to make sure that they eat well, because I think, honestly, I swear to God, Wesley went home even bigger. Honestly, he was bigger by the end of the tour. I'm telling you that now, and I'm thinking that's something I want to do, because if maybe some of the athletes might be put off by doing a tour because you think, I'd rather be at home in my routine. It's like no, because you want to be, if you're there, I'll make sure that you train every single day. Because when I send them the tour schedule, it's not just for what time we've got to leave and what time we've got to be there and when our flight is, or when we've got to get up, or what time we've got to leave the hotel to go on to the next one and how long the drive is. I actually put in, I'll say, send me a workout split. And then I basically send it back to them in red. And I'll say, okay, then you've got an opportunity to train chest here. This time, you got this time or that time. Come back and tell me what time you want to train. And then they send it back to me. And then I send it back to them as like another, because this is what I think maybe people outside of the sport might not get. Is like, at the end of the day, they're bodybuilders and they're bodybuilders, and they don't want to sacrifice anything if they have to. Okay, I'll do the talks. It's good for my PR and good for my following. And it was really good for Wesley. Yeah. But if they can go home and say, do you know what? I didn't miss a single meal or workout. It's like, I'm not saying I would ever take a guy or a female when they're on a prep, because for 12 weeks for the Olympia, I don't think, I think that's when I'll want to do them with the Ronnies and the, the Kevin Nevrones or whoever, because I wouldn't want the responsibility of having a pro. I just think it would take away a bit of the fun. It adds a bit of pressure, and because just say they are a bit late for their meal because they've been stuck in traffic or something, or I personally, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to put them through that, and it would be a responsibility I'd rather just avoid and just say, look, let's just do it straight after the Olympia. Yeah. So because we did it with Ashley, and that was but she was a trooper, man. I mean, she just literally just ate chicken and asparagus. Lauren was just cooking constant chicken and asparagus, and that's all she ate. Jeez, I mean, and because she competed at the start, because she won Romania and got a 30th pro win, which broke the record. I can remember when me and Lauren were on the live stream, we started screaming and going nuts. Yeah. And then, and also, I've said to Andrew agreed he's going to come into the studio as well, and we're going to do a podcast for the Olympia channel as well. So, awesome. What I want to do is I want to bring up like Texas and the Olympia, obviously, because it's after the Olympia. I want to bring up the Olympia footage, get the cat literally here, here. I want to get him on the camera and get his reaction. Like when we'll bring out, say, the first call out at the Olympia. And I'll put the camera and get his reactions and stuff like that. That's because obviously Dan's going to be over the moon with that, because obviously then he's supporting me and he's getting all this content, and I'll make clips and put it on the Olympia socials. And it's kind of a win-win for everyone. And also, I want to thank Dan actually and Jake, because they've been so supportive. Everything they said they would do, they did. And then sometimes people like, there's a lot of bullshit in the industry. So when they went, I'm still, my followers are going up like 100 every day or every other day because of posts from the Ronnie tour.
Sure.
But it's still I'm waking up and there's all these new followers because you know that post with Ronnie where where he spots Andrew coming under the thing.
I do.
I think we're up to 4.4 million views on that now.
Oof. Yeah, that's insane.
That's nuts, isn't it?
Where is that?
Yeah, bring it up, and check. And I'm not bullshitting because to be honest, I checked last night. It was 4.3.
Yeah, because I can't see the views on this for some reason. But
really, just click on like, and then it changes it.
Let me see. Let's try. Let's go.
It's nuts, isn't it?
That's
the one. Yeah. Click on likes.
Where's that?
Yeah, because I didn't spot Andrew. It's such a funny video because it's like, and Ronnie's like, yeah, there's Andrew there. I'm like, what are you talking about? But how cool is that? Just showing up to a hotel and you look over and there's you on the bridge.
Well, there's the likes. I only see 364 likes, but I'm sure. Oh, that's her. People liked his comment 364 times.
Go up. Can you not find it? Yeah. So hang on, find out. I'll look on my phone now. Hang on. I've got on bloody.
I'll unfollow you. No.
Hang on.
Let's click on.
Bugger off. Hang on.
Bugger off.
Bloody shit connection. Right. Okay. Hang on.
Yeah.
218,000 likes.
Woof.
And 4,446,301 likes. Sorry, views.
Wow. And it was just this total coincidence, total luck, just serendipity, right place at the right time.
Yeah, just because it wasn't like I said, it wasn't planned or anything. We just showed up, and then Ronnie goes, hey, "There's Andrew there." Yeah. I'm like, Andrew, Ronnie's on the bridge. Look at him. Look how big he is.
Yeah.
That's 4 weeks out.
I don't know how many X's that shirt is. Probably like 5 X's in there. X's.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's awesome.
I was that whole tour was amazing. I can't even say what the best bit was because there was so many highlights. Every day was just, and everyone was so positive and so kind and respectful, and it was lovely. It was I would say it's one of the best experiences of my life, not just in the bodybuilding industry, to be honest, mate. It really was. It was special. It was very, very special, and that's why I get so like I don't understand when I came back and I hit such a low. Yeah. Like I've been hit by like a week-long depression. I'm thinking, why I should be reveling in what we've just achieved and all the joy we spread, and all the positivity, and how many happy people we made, and people sending messages like saying they'd been through serious strife in their life, and they just but seeing Ronnie was just it brings tears to your eyes. Honestly, there's a lot of moments on that tour where. There's so much positivity, especially with all the crazy shit that's going on in the world right now. There's just you look on social media, it's all politics and war and all this just divisiveness and racism and riots and then you just got this guy Ronnie who's just shouting, "Yeah, buddy," and just just having the time of his life, enjoying himself and just spreading the love, and just everyone's just like it's infectious. It's incredible. It's a very I feel like it's a good purpose to have, doing these things, connecting people and spreading that kind of joy and being able to make a living from it. It's something that's quite. I hope I never ever take it for granted or kind of like lose that love for it, because when you're on these tours, even though you can be stressed out and not sleeping and pressure and when you're on it, there's something that you really have to be. You have to really hold yourself back into the moment and really try and, because there's so many different things you've got to think about the day, the next day, the flights. And sometimes you have to take a sort of stop and just take a breath and kind of appreciate what you're doing, and kind of the joy and the positivity you're spreading. Because I tell you what, it's quite a gift to the world to be able to be and privileged to be in a position to be able to do something like that. It's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. It really is.
Wow. All right. Well, that will do it, guys, for this episode of Power Hour. Make sure to follow Giles, Giles Tiger. You can catch up on all the latest info about the upcoming tours. Ron Coleman coming up. Andrew Jack coming up after Olympia. Who knows who?
Possibly Ashley. We're looking at that as well. So
who knows who will be.
In fact, I think Ashley's going to be. We're going to end the tour potentially with her competing in Romania. Me and Laurie are going to be there anyway doing live stream. Yeah. And then we're going to fly Ronnie into Romania and then start the tour there. So we're going to do two. We're going to be back to back. So that's going to be so if I do drop dead, I'll probably drop dead with a smile on my face because I'm doing what I love.
Going to be a busy, busy, busy Tiger the rest of this year. Let me tell you. All
Love
right.
it. Love it.
Cool, guys. So,
never let me moan about being too busy ever. If you do, just remind me and say, Giles, remember what it's like when you don't have, because I've been there, you know, and it's
I'll remind you. Don't worry. I'll remind you. All right, guys. So that has been it. This episode of Power Hour with Giles Tiger Thomas, very busy man over in UK. If you like this channel, please subscribe, like, share, ring the bell. It doesn't cost you anything. Really helps me out. And we'll see you right here again on the next episode of Power Hour.